Night Owl Season 9 rolling to a close in just a few weeks. Tonight, the penultimate round and championships yet to be decided in all classes considered. Hello and welcome to Night Owl Season 9 here at Zolder, round number 5. I'm Jesse Lee, joined by Ted Edwards with Stewie behind the cameras as usual. Ted, we're coming down the stretch to another fantastic season that's had a lot of twists and turns. Still no champion in sight for any of the classes. Tonight, though, could go a long way in determining a champion in every single class.
Yeah, tonight's going to be one of those ones where people would want to be getting most of the points they can because obviously next weekend is the final, and you don't want to be too many points down coming into the final and then not, you know, missing out on like a top three or a top five finish. So everyone's going to be fighting for all them points today.
Yeah, they sure will be fighting for the points today. And of course, we've seen every week in some class, one or another, somebody else step up and claim a championship lead. But it's very small in all of those respects and show you the points after qualifying today. But the big thing is we are at Zolder, and it's one of those tracks where you can get a drive through penalty for track limits very easily, and even more easily you're in the wrong kind of car, you can hit some of these curbs here and go for a very wild ride.
Yeah, it's not an easy track to do, I don't think, Jesse. I know a few drivers have not been looking forward to this round, but I thought I'd throw it in for this season. We haven't been I don't think we've ever been here for Night Owl, or it was really early on in the early stages of Night Owl. So threw it in here, and yeah, got some complaints, but it is what it is.
People complaining about coming to Zolder? Is that what happened?
Sorry? Yes.
It's a very divisive track, Zolder. A lot of people really like this place, and I think a lot of other people prefer it in groups of 10 cars or less. It's one of those tracks you certainly don't see some 40 plus cars show up and race at the same time. It's very difficult to find space. It's a decently quick lap around here. And of course, the chicanes, you definitely don't want to go too wide through there. There are passing opportunities at the end of every straightaway. And if you can get along some beside somebody, even if you're on the outside, a lot of times you can hang with them and make a pass. We'll see if that happens here tonight. Certainly, with all of those opportunities for success, there's always the opportunity for failure, and that happens a lot simply going side by side around here.
Yeah, I think tonight we're going to see the front engine cars do very well here, Jesse, compared to the mid and rear engines. Just because they can eat the curbs a lot more. Gonna That's the grass there. It's gonna be a different race tonight, I think. I've been watching the Aston, the BMWs eating that chicane like it's nothing. So also saw quite a funny picture of a driver going sideways in a McLaren at the chicane. Almost landed on the door.
Speaking of McLaren, that's a car tonight that if you did select a McLaren like your Lehman and Flamger, you're going to have to be mindful a little bit more than some of the other makes here. If you're in a Mercedes, it's going to be decidedly easier. Sean Madison just had a very interesting accident coming into the pit lane. I think they hit the orange barriers on the interior of the pit lane with the side or the back of the car. Very strange indeed. But back to my point, if you are in a McLaren, you're going to have issues with using some of the curbing here, and it is going to afford you many difficulties. But I saw a week or so ago a couple of McLarens who must have been running an interesting setup that kept this exact thing from happening. Timothy Flanger did an excellent job there. That was about as good as that could have ever have been. But what you're going to see here is that happened multiple times, and it's going to happen to everybody in that car. It's not consistent either, folks, is the point. sometimes you can hit the curb and you'd be millimeters different and nothing happens. Also, it depends on, the wheels pointed and all that. I digress. McLaren's not the only car that has that issue. I'm sure you'll be aware and see that as well. Oh my goodness. And yes, that is the photo in question, Ted. Well, that's
Mm,
way up there.
I want to know how they ended up doing that, and I wish I was there because
The question I have is, did they save it?
they saved it. Apparently, they were okay.
Well, well, well. We are reading chat as we always are. Steven said that they don't actually dislike this track. In fact, it's one of their more preferred tracks. And that is very much the case. I think it is rather divisive. I have no issues with this particular racing circuit. Certainly, it would be towards the top of the list of ones in ACC I would prefer to race at. So, not a big deal there at all. But I know a lot of drivers, though, they tell me that they really don't like this track. We have a saying, we call it a groaner. Anytime that you do something you don't want to do, you groan. This is a groaner of a racetrack for a lot of people. But for us, it is going to be a fantastic night with a lot of passing opportunity. That all starts here with qualifying.
Yeah, the two people that I've heard that have moaned is Foch and Alex Rogers. So they're both in cars that can take the chicane very well. So I wonder if it's not the chicane and maybe it's the track they're not fond of it. So have to see how they do. Not sure. I haven't really been in the practice server to see what people have been doing, but the practice session today, I did see Alex was in first. So maybe he's got a good setup. Maybe he can get this M4 around the track, but have to see.
The M4 is not a terrible choice around this particular track. It takes the curbs pretty well indeed. It shouldn't be too big of an issue for all those driving that car. Very few Mercedes. The Mercedes just ignores that the curbs exist. The Ferrari's hit or miss. The Ferrari, of course, engine layout means that around some of these turns, not necessarily the ones with the curbing, it's a tricky task to ask for the prancing horse. And I'm trying to think of the Honda. I think the Honda is just flat out decent around here. Particularly upset by anything. Maybe the curbs a little bit, but not more than any other make. I could be getting some of that confused, but like I said, I have seen McLarens not have issues here in the past, and I assume that's based on setup, and that is a thing that you have to consider. Getting the first laps on the board here in qualifying. Going to take a look and see what we have. Juna Savalainen will provide us our first benchmark time. It's a 128.685, and that's right there where they were at in practice.
I haven't driven this track a lot, Jesse, so I'm not really sure what is a fast time around here.
I would say 28.2 is pretty decent. A really, really quick driver might dip into a 27, but for an opening shot of a 28.297, that is pretty darn good.
Well, I'm pretty sure people can get into the 27s. You've got some fast drivers in here, so yeah. Today we have merged Split 2 into Split 1. Fortunately, wasn't quite a lot of people in Split 2 last week and the week before, so we've merged them in. It's Low Silver and AM, but they have been merged into the AM split, so this is why you see 3 classes on the screen here. They have kept their points, but they are now fighting between each other in AM, so that's going to spice up their championship a bit, because a lot of them are quite close, Jesse. So
yeah, they sure are. Speaking of, this particular driver in a battle for the Silver Championships, won twice this season, but has something extra they're dealing with tonight. They're a little under the weather. They told me before the race tonight that they were feeling very ill indeed, but wanted to make the race. And also, they had to turn their feedback strength way down on their wheel. They just didn't have the strength to wrench on the wheel, but all that considered, Lehman at the top of the board, a 27.740. Mawson slots in second place. on that grid. Second place overall, folks. That's first in Class Avalina, down to third. And Marquez, the fastest of the AM drivers, now in the top five as Watson plots into second, third in the 147. It's going to get even tighter. That's something else. We didn't talk about that, but I will mention it now. Qualifying here is almost always competitive, very tight.
Flamgo slots in with, what's that, 28-1. So I'm pretty sure Flamgo can go faster here. You know, we've seen him before go a lot faster. You just have to wait and see. It's I think he's just hitting the corners. And Jesse.
Yeah, I feel like you've been betrayed, Ted.
Yeah, what is that team name?
I think it's a great team. I've always said it. I'm a fan of Alex Rogers. He speaks complete sense, and I trust his judgment. Always said that about Alex.
He's not wrong though, is he? You can blame me for anything nowadays.
The joke, of course, is Ted Edwards is the race admin or the championship admin for Night Owl. It just so happens that he's also my broadcast partner as well. And obviously, Alex Rogers is very much aware of that, and very, I'd say, close with Ted Edwards in that respect. And I think he's not so much as hinting as he is shouting something.
Yeah, he better be careful, Jesse, because he's driving in the 24 World Tour Spa. So I might just have to give him 4 stints in a row. I think, you know.
Oh dear. Well, I always said this about thoroughbreds. You got to take care of the horse, Ted. Take care of Alex Rogers if I were you. Madison to the top of the board. I said that Honda should be quick. It wasn't in the top 10 in practice, but it's at the top of the board here in qualifying where it really matters. A 27.737 for Sean Madison. That is 3 1,000ths, not tenths, not hundredths. That is 3 1,000ths quicker than the almost best name in sim racing, Lehman.
And then you have Watson 400ths behind that. Like, this is close.
Yep, I love it. Oh, I thought Martin Lawrence was going to miss the corner there. I think that was a trick of the camera angle, but that is the old V12 out there thundering around. Lawrence still trying to get a decent time on the board, and that certainly helped them, a 28.967.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good time from Lawrence in the V12. You know, it's an older car. It's not got fancy gadgets these new cars have. You know, the electronic gadgets. So it's all about driving that car. It does sound nice. So points for that, I think.
Sure thing. Watson up to P1 in the silver class. Tyler Jason LaValle in the 911 Porsche up inside the top 5. Didn't mention the Porsche when talking about car selection here. The Porsche is one of the best, certainly showing it there with that lap P4. Thomas Pierce down in 19th place, looking for a little pick-me-up. Let's get inside the top 15. Previous lap, a 28.750. And to pick up several tenths, pick up several spots, and does way more than that. A 28.212, half a second quicker, puts him inside the top 10 in the Lexus.
I'm surprised, Jesse, that the guys at the top are in mid-engine, rear-engine cars. I would have thought the front engines would be up there, but yeah, I'm proven wrong once again.
Well, I don't think that matters quite as much as we would think around here. It makes sense in your head, doesn't it, that a front engine car would be the way to go, and in some cases it certainly is, but it's more about the ride height of the car and the suspension than where the actual engine is most of the time. Now, I say that, but if you get crossed up, it definitely matters where your engine is.
Yeah. But I'll see if one of the front engine cars can get it. Because the only closest ones are the 2 BMWs in 7th and 9th, which is Helperline and Rogers. Obviously, you got Piers as well in the Lexus. But then yeah, a lot of them are quite further back. The Bentley's 16. I know the Bentley's pretty good around here from what I've heard, so we just have to again wait and see. We've got 5 minutes 10 seconds left of qualifying. is coming across the line. It doesn't go faster.
6 manufacturers inside the top 10. How do you like that for brand parity? Marquez holding on to 5th place in qualifying here. He is the top of the AM cars. Coupland in the 5, McLaren in 18th is the second. There's a huge gulf between those two cars in AM right now. Phil Large didn't like what he saw on the old stopwatch. Took that moment to eject themselves. They will have an opportunity to reset to the pit lane and still get another lap, maybe even 2 out of the end of this session. Timothy Flamger already inside the top 8, looking to do a little bit of damage here, and will go all the way to the top of the board. A 27.685 for Timothy Flamger puts him half of a tenth in front of Sean Madison, the 19 McLaren, looking very racy here.
Told you. Oh, I got something right, Jesse. I told you Flamger could get it there. Got something right today. Yeah, Flamger's just flying. I think he's been doing a lot of practice, so yeah, I think he's ready for this race. He wants to get all them points that he can. I don't blame him.
Yep. Yeah, it's the 271, and get used to that, folks. You're going to see that all race long. Luckily, everybody, as far as we were aware, was able to get around.
Oh, that was 2. 3. Oh dear. That's yeah. That
had all the harm
in the race.
That had all the harm. I'm gonna try to say that one more time. That had all the hallmarks of a couple of cars coming together there.
Yeah, once one goes, if another one's behind it, and they've got to try and dodge, and I don't know which way they're going. The cars bouncing everywhere. It's not fun.
Ryan Mawson, the man who is sickly today, trying to stay in the silver championship fight. And when I say in it, it's really between him and one other driver, but needs a better starting position than P14. Even for a driver of the caliber of Mawson that always trends in the right direction, needs a bit more. He does get it at 28.307 in the 101 BMW. That's 11th overall and quite a bit closer to Watson, and perhaps most importantly, in front of his championship rival, Silva.
Yeah, Wilson's doing a great job. Yeah, as we know, he's not faring very well, but yeah, 11th at the minute. It's very good. 2 minutes and 30 left. I don't think he'll come back out again. I don't think he'll get his tyres warmed up for a good flying lap. So he's just parked it and said, "I'm going to rest myself, ready for the race," which I don't blame him.
I'll tell you something else too. We talk about him, Mawson and Silva racing each other, and we talked about Mawson's illness. There's a lot of tracks that I would put in front of this one, or tracks I'd want to race at when I didn't feel 100%. This place will flat wear you out some of the time.
Yeah, I think Monza would be a very nice choice for when you're ill.
I actually don't mind Spa. You don't actually, and I know people are going to make fun of me for this, you don't actually do too much at Spa. I mean, the car kind of does most of the work. Here, it's a tight, twisty racetrack where you got to make a lot of technical, small turns and a lot of back and forth. And Spa's just more flowing of a racetrack. It's a lot easier to drive over the course of a lap, and there are places you get to relax. Here, I don't really think you ever really relax for a second.
That's true. Oh well, from first to 22nd, 23rd, it's a second between that. That's very close, Jesse.
We haven't really talked about this either, but there are so many cars on the track that getting a clean lap to begin with can be problematic. What can Silva do, by the way? Battling Mawson, trying to catch up to Watson, and Silva will do one of those. Silva goes second in the class. P9 overall, a 27.975 for the Vice Racing 995 Aston. That is what Tiago wanted to see.
Can anyone beat Flamger, though? That's the question, Jesse. The last lap for a lot of the guys here, so... I see Alex Rogers is on time. He's just lost all his time and invalidate his lap, so he can get across the line to go again. It's now the pressure's going to be really building on him, but you know, you got one left, you mess up, you get track warning, that's it, your lap's gone. You could be 3, 4 tenths up and you can ruin it. I've done it many a times and it's the worst feeling in the world. But see if he can keep this going.
I'll tell
As
you what, Alex Rogers was just about the quickest car on the Delta. He was putting up purples and greens, but invalidated that lap, and now it's down to this one shot to make it happen.
just eats
Absolutely.
them
I
curves,
was
Jesse.
just gonna say, he's just murdering those curbs, just ignoring them. We talked about the Mercedes, how it just ignores them. Saw a little bit of a bobble in this BMW, but really, it didn't look like it caused any alarm for Rogers. This looks like a very nice lap. We'll see how good it actually is. Cars will be littered across the racetrack now as several drivers invalidate here coming to the line. This is the last lap for everybody. There was a car off into the dirt there that returned to the pit lane. A lot of distractions. Can Alex Rogers do it? And even if he can't, how far up the grid can he get in the 119? The hashtag blame Ted Edwards BMW. Oh, a little bit
I
there, but
think he's
just
ruined it.
about got away with it. But I'm afraid that that will keep them right where they were pre.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. He was 2 tenths up at the end there, and then yeah, just got the worst exit you can get out there, and it's very easy to get a bad exit out there.
Also told Samir Foch was on a really quick lap as well, but got stuck behind traffic, and that ruined their lap. We didn't see it come into play much, at least on the camera. That is what happened to Foch's lap. So Foch will have to settle for where he qualified. Well, we talked about the presence of the penultimate round of the championship. We talked about how important it is. Let's show you what we're talking about. Start with pro. Christoph Stachecki, 108 points. Samir Foch had a disastrous race a week ago, and now second place in the championship, 92 points, but not out of this yet. If Stachecki has a difficult race and Foch takes the cake today, Foch is right back in it. They'll be pretty much dead level. Stachecki has to hold today. Foch has to do all the heavy lifting. We'll see if the 88 BMW can do just that. Savalainen right behind them in third place, 70 points. Timothy Flamger on 64, and rounding out the top five, Wouter Billen with 62 points. Alessio Mellis in sixth place with 46 points. Matt Lehman 1 point behind them. Thomas Pierce on 35. Raphael Hill with 32. And Sean Madison rounds out your top 10 with 28. Back half of the pro field, Alex Rogers with 26 points, Stefano with 9, and Tyler Jason LaValle with 7 points. All these drivers back here by virtue of missing a couple of rounds. Let's move on to the silver fight, the closest battle that we have. Thiago Silva holds a very slim 1 point lead for Ryan Mawson in second place, 95 and 94 respectively. Grim Lilith with 62 points is tied for third with Rudy Philmalter. Grim, I think, would win the tiebreaker based on countback, and that's why he's shown above. Nevertheless, tied for third. Rounding out the top five, Phil Large, 59 points. Miguel Martins on 55. Jordan Watson, 45 points. Tio Anton, 41. Olivier Kierton with 36. And the top 10 ends with Neil Pimlott with 35 points. Incredibly close stuff. Take one look at that. And that is incredible that they've made it this far, this close. And in 11th place, Derek Sun, 31 points. Martin Lawrence on 29, 1 point in front of Jacob in 28. Patrick Oliver, 24 points. Roman Frawler with 22. Javier Marquez leads the AM class with 85 points. Peter with 76 points. And Stephen Clark is your third place driver in AM with 65. Callum with 60. And Rodrigo Santos, 55 points is your top five. Adam Bowers, 52 points. Daniel Walker, 51. Aaron Fox with 46. Damian Lowe, 40 points. And Brandon Baker in your top 10 on 34. Nice to see the AM drivers get some recognition on the screen. And of course, due to the merger of the splits, Daniel Groove 29 points in 11th place. Kai Lazalai with 25. Ashley Coupland, 22 points. Matthew Roberts, 17. Lint Willis, 11 points. Daniel Kent on 7. And Craig Everett with 3 points. Carl Tillett and Sierra Thomas, I saw on that don't have points, but because they don't have a dash, that tells me that they're still alive in the championship and are late injuries.
Yeah, Sierra Thomas did their pre-queue yesterday to get in, and is racing with us today. So it's nice to see some new people join. That's a mean-looking car.
No, to your point, Ted, it is fantastic. Ever since we've implemented mid-season signups, it's changed the dynamic. We used to have what I refer to as dwindling fields. Now that's not really as big of an issue because you always seem to have in these championships mid-season signups. Today, I think we have two of them. Sierra being one of those. It's going to be very interesting to see how that comes into play. And by the way, a little bit of history for you at home. The very first race we ever allowed a mid-season sign up, that driver actually won the race overall in that championship. That was last season sometime. It was fantastic stuff. And well, we've seen excellent performances by those drivers as well, playing spoiler and the like. Ted, as we sit on the grid, I've got one question for you. If you are a championship leader in the penultimate round of this championship today on this grid, what is your first job to protect your championship lead? How do you do that?
Play it safe and don't crash. That would be in my head straight away. Keep it clean on the start. Keep it clean until the field starts spreading out a bit more, and then once you get a bit of clean air, or you're getting pushed from behind, then you try and push it. But you gotta play it clean, especially around here. You know, you got the chicane that you mess up, as we've seen in before. You can land wrong, you can get the wrong bump, and yep, you span around, and that's it. You've lost a load of points. So yeah, it's just driving clean and just trying to get rounds without ending up in a wall. So that would
Uh,
be in my head.
I love the pre-race banter between Peter Sarah and Stephen Clark in our chat. I love they're going back and forth, and of course, both those drivers highly in the AM Championship, second and third, and they join us in chat when they're not on the track. And today they're talking back and forth. I love to see that from it. I love to see the camaraderie between drivers, even though on the racetrack you're mortal enemies. Well, Ted, my next question is Samir Fosh has some work to do to claw back points in the championship and make it close in pro. How does Samir Fosh, the other side of that previous question, how does Samir Fosh get back in this championship today? What can he do?
Play it clean. I think he's got to hope that people end up spinning out, crashing, messing up. Just yeah, it's hard. He's at the minute he's 16th, so somewhere where he doesn't really want to be. We haven't seen him. I don't think we've seen him this far down, um, unless he's had like a really bad qualifying session. But it's really struggling today by the looks of it. So if I was him, it'd just be trying to just keep it clean and trying to stay out as much trouble as I can.
Well, we've seen Fosh have poor qualifying. A Suzuka race comes to mind. And he may have qualified back there, but I doubt that's where he's going to finish. We're told by our broadcaster that Fosh was on a very quick lap that might have threatened pole, but didn't get to finish it. So that is all I needed to hear. It's just unfortunate. Sometimes you just can't get the lap that you're looking for and get it in. It's a close battle in silver between Silva and Mawson. We documented Mawson not feeling well. We documented Silva's excellent lap, put them in second in the championship. Watson's not a threat to them. It's literally a battle between those two. If you're Silva and you've had a back and forth season, today you can't afford a mistake. Does Silva need to drive a little bit more patiently than he would otherwise?
Yeah, I think so. I think for any driver, you need to just play it a bit more cautiously. Another thing to don't forget about Jesse is third in silver is tied with Fillmore and Grim Lilith. So if the two front runners crash out, them two might get a load of points, and they might be fighting for first overall between all four of them
That
in the
is
final.
that's very well said, partner. I didn't even remember that, and I read the standings out. That's absolutely brilliant call. Well, folks, wherever you are on this Saturday evening, we thank you for being with us. We hope you're well, and we're getting ready to do a little racing here, a little night owl style. 1 hour, 4:07 p.m. in sim time. Track conditions could not be more perfect. So many cars, 35 plus, waiting for the green. There it is. The front row firing off. Flamger and Lehman both fighting over this position. Oh, they're going to touch.
It's
One of
going
the
round.
cars is going to go around. Lehman's had an accident.
Oh
Five, six,
no!
7 cars. They're four wide in the back of the pack, spinning around, and that's at least 12 cars involved. As it looked like Lehman, is it Lehman that got away? It's the 67 of Lehman. Lehman's the car that actually got away in the lead of the race. A bunch of cars involved. The 913, the 101 of Mawson was involved, the 144, and more involved in that melee into turn one that all started when the top two had contact with each other.
Yeah, and because there was, I believe, more than 10 cars in that crash, it has been the stewards have decided for a restart, Jesse. Which I was after all them cars in the middle of the track. Yeah, it didn't surprise me. That was just unfortunate that someone gets hit and the next minute a load more people get hit and then it block the road and people either don't see because they got a car in front or they're not paying attention, Jesse. So yeah, restart it is. So another formation lap in 5 minutes time, and then hopefully we'll get go racing and we'll get to the second corner without crashing. So
Well, that was spirited. And just a clarification of the rules that the stewards have for a restart is if they have what's often referred to as a magic number, which is a sizable portion of the field, and that can fluctuate depending on the event and all of that. And today, for the second or third time this week here on RCI TV, we have had a race restart. We went for months without ever having one. I pointed that out back at the World Tour round one, where it had been some time late in the year 2021 was the last time we ever had a restart. And we've had a rash of them this week, including this round. We've been going to a lot of difficult tracks and a lot of difficult cars, and restart has taken place. So nothing of that has technically occurred at this time. The race will be restarted. Lamger will maintain pole position with Lehman, and hopefully we get a cleaner start this time because I would say about half the field was impacted at some way with that accident.
yeah, and I think penalties are going to be a little bit more stricter just because it was a lap one crash and there was a lot of cars involved. Yellow flags would have been out. Sort of everywhere in the driver's cockpit. So just one of those things that the stewards will be looking at very deeply I believe after the race because they've still got a race to live steward. It's just one of those things. You hear Stew's looking at all these nice liveries. That's a
He
nice
sure
livery.
is. And just for clarification, when I say none of that happened, I mean none of that happened from a damage standpoint. Post race, the stewards will go back and look at that and see that is penalizable, all of that driving. And if they feel that that was someone's fault, there will be penalties for the initial start, but that will not come out today. That will likely be post race as they will focus on the live racing today. So that is still penalizable, but it won't happen today. The good news is though, everybody gets a clean slate now from a damage standpoint. The cars get repaired and reset to the pit lane, and we hope this is a cleaner restart because usually speaking, we only allow the one restart. The drivers are then cautioned to drive more cleanly, drive with a little bit more sense and respect, and do not allow that to happen again. Do you want a hamburger, a hot dog, a bratwurst, or I don't know what that fourth thing was. I didn't read it in time.
Do they sell wieners there, Jesse? Would you like a wiener?
Always, you can count on me. I do love a nice frankfurter.
Or some waffles? Hmm. I'm hungry now, Jesse.
I want to go to the go kart track. I want to go. This is a go kart track, and I want to go and I want to drive on it.
I want to hide in the tires, mate. That's what I want to do.
Very strange. I'm not sure why you want to do that, but I would
Scare people.
I would absolutely love to race around here. This is crazy. Our broadcaster Stewie is getting to race around it right now, and he's taking good apexes here.
He's
Leave it,
very good.
leave it to a Porsche driver to know how to hit an apex.
Yeah, they're not wrong there, Jesse.
Look at him. Oh,
Oh,
he's coming down pit lane because the race is about to start. So he's gotta come down pit lane. Either that or he's got to put some quarters in.
10 seconds.
Well, Kunos, the makers of Assetto Corsa Competizione, they don't skimp on anything. They make sure that they one for one replicate all the infield buildings, and that includes the kart track and the broadcaster's booth, the scores tower, and apparently you can get trained in karate around here.
Yeah, there's one track, and I can't remember what it is. Can't remember the track. I can't remember. It's got a water park. You can see they've modelled a water park that's actually there in real life, and I forgot what track it is. Someone in chat might know. But yeah, I have a picture of it. I was quite surprised that was there.
Those are the local track trophies. Stewie, if you right above that sign was actually the stewarding office. I believe it actually has written on it. Is that what it says? Race Control Center. That is incredible. Yeah.
On Bryant's side, I think.
Yep. This is of course the balcony. This is not the race control office, but we're above it right now. And our broadcaster has told us this is the Tom Bryant.
Apparently so.
Flyover bridge here as the cars go out on the track again. They'll be hoping for a cleaner start. The whole thing kicked off when Flamger and Lehman had contact. That was first and second place. Flamger went around, caused a chain reaction. They were 4 wide behind them, and everybody got wadded up. That's what triggered a steward's decision of a restart. And that will be reviewed for penalties post-race today. But for now, everybody restarts, no damage. It will have another go. And Ted Edwards, he can't be much worse than that, so here's hoping it's...
I've got my fingers and toes crossed, Jesse, because I do want to see a race today.
Here is Savalainen's car as not weaving like the Porsche in the background. I love the
Kimi Räikkönen.
He sure is, and I love the compare and contrast of driver strategy of warm up the tires versus
I think he's holding brakes, yeah, holding them brakes to get those tires warm. That's the strat I do. I don't weave because I heard it can grain your tires and blister them when they're cold. So I've always used the brakes to warm them up. It works as a treat for me. So.
Very good strategy indeed. Neil Pimlott in the 913 will start this race from the pit lane. Unknown if that was not hitting the drive button in time or a strategy. It might be a strategy worth using here. Here we go again. One more time. Flamger and Lehman, your top two, as we are 2 by 2 as far as the eye can see, getting the green flag. And a much tidier start, but this is where the trouble started the first time. Down into turn 1, no such trouble this time as they are 3 wide. Further back on the pack, they're almost 3 wide for second place as they file through turn number 2. Pimlott is coming out of the pit lane. I almost reckon that was strategic by Neil there. But nevertheless, the race is off and an almost completely clean start here As Savalainen stuck behind several cars trying to make up some room. Yeah, no yellow sector 1.
I have seen 28 in the AM class as a DT. Guess that's out of position, and that's
Everybody scattering here. Several cars flying off the racetrack. A couple have stopped, and one completely turned around backwards. That will be an unfortunate start into the first chicane, as I feel a couple of cars were following right behind other cars and couldn't see, and ended up punting some of those cars. Unfortunate situation, surely, but a couple of cars definitely around there now at the back of the pack.
Yeah, we've got one in the pits, Roman Fralla. Not sure why, but they are back in the pit lane. Maybe they've just given up after having contact in that chicane. But we made it half a lap, Jesse, ish.
Well, we made it to the first chicane, which is 5 turns better than we did at the start, or excuse me, 4 turns better than we did at the start of the race. Ryan Mawson in P3. Mawson was one of those cars that was involved in that accident. They were down in like 29th or 30th or something like that. They were happy to have a restart, and they are in the 12th place position, and they were just fighting Silva for the lead in the championship. Not the lead in the class, mind you. That's Watson all the way up in P4, but this is for the lead in the championship, separated by 1 point. The position makes a big difference in this fight. Silva winning that for Vice Racing very early on, and everybody slamming the curb. And the 28, I've just noticed, is coming out of the pit lane. That was a very early pit stop. Ted Edwards, as the race admin, what are the pit requirements this week?
There is none, Jesse.
Oh, yep, that'll do it. This is the lap 1 incident. Ooh, that pink BMW in the background, ejecting a car that was slowing down for the accident. That was rather unfortunate, and all but confirms the stewards are going to have a long time to have to discuss all of those little contacts on lap 1. What happened to Martin Lawrence here? Oh no.
You can't hit a V12.
I mean, you can, he just did.
Well, that's against the law. The 28 that came down pit lane, was it for a drive-through? I believe that was out of position on the formation lap.
Yes, you are correct. You called that for us, and that has been served. That will, I don't think I'm stepping too far out on the plank when I say that will not be the only drive-through penalty that is assigned today, whether it be ACC or stewarding. I think we're safe on both fronts.
Steven in chat says about the... Oh, gosh, what was that? That was a bit scary. Steven in chat says the water park, he believes it's at Hungary, outside of turn 1, so he was right. I think I grabbed that from a 4-hour race we did here, so... Yeah. These little things.
One of the few Lamborghinis. In fact, I only think we have 2 in the field. P24, Matthew Roberts, 33, fighting. And look at, this is from in front of Roberts. This is Stefano looking back at Roberts, Lilith, and Billen, all fighting over the P25 spot.
3 different classic cars and 3 different cars fighting for the position. Gotta love it.
You do. I love brand parity.
Who was that?
Didn't see.
The 187.
Oh, that was Stefano. That was the car in 24th place. That was very strange. We were riding on board the wing of that car just moments ago. Nothing seemed to miss. They didn't seem to have any damage. That car just exited the track there.
Yeah, and apparently the garage doors come down, Jesse, but coming back, so that's a bit odd. Wonder why that happened.
That reeks of IRL issues, if you ask me. Well, we haven't really talked too much about Krzysztof Stachecki, the championship leader in the pro category. Didn't have a stellar qualifying. They're into P10 now. Bear in mind, they're fighting Samir Foch for this championship, who's down in P16. So no worries here. And Ted, I asked you earlier, what do the championship leaders have to do? And you mentioned that they just need to have a nice, consistent, and drama-free day. The top 10, if Foch is going to have to fight his way up through the back half of the teens, a quiet top 10 day, not the end of the world for Krzysztof Stachecki.
No, he just needs to play it clean today, and just, there's no pit stop, so you got to look after your tyres a bit more. Taking full fuel, so your car's going to be heavier. It's you just got to play it clean and just try and not race people too much as you really want to, because we're all racers and we all want to be better than their car in front. Sometimes it's best to stay behind and sit for a few laps until they make a mistake.
Steven has mentioned in chat that they might have cursed Cusera. And Steven, if you have done, that's all on you, as Alessio Mellis has had a wild start to this lap. It started in turn 1, and it's only getting worse as Stachecki is trying to remake the pass here and doesn't want to let anybody else through. Does Mellis, as Silva and Mawson are all right behind him. Mawson, by the way, who fell back a little bit into the clutches of Thomas Pierce, has recaught back up to Silva. That fight for the championship lead in P2 in that class. Mellis now the cork in the bottle for both Silva and Mawson.
171, it was off at the chicane. Oh no.
Has it happened twice?
Yeah, and he's gone back to the pit lane. So I think that is I think that's the end of his race today, which saddens me, Jesse. I love the V12. Always in my heart. But I have some news. I was looking at the pro standings, and you say Stachecki is okay at the minute because Foch is down in 16th. I'm looking at Seville Island. He's got 70 points. That's 38 away from Stachecki. If he gets as many points as he can today, if he gets top 3, he can be up there fighting for first.
Huh. In a strange turn of events, folks, Ted Edwards is the one who has done the math, as you might expect.
Also, Flamger's quite high up there as well, and he's 4th. He's only sitting on 64 points, but if he can get a lot of points, we could be seeing a big battle on our hands for the last round.
We sure could, and you just never can tell how a race is going to turn out, and qualifying completely jumbled everybody up, and it made a lot of things possible in my mind. We'll just have to see, 51 minutes to go, how it all shakes out. These drivers are happy that there is no real rain threat, and there hasn't been all weekend after the last several weeks that they've had. Today, not the case at all. Couldn't be more brilliant. 21 degrees on the track, 16 ambient, an optimum track surface, and little to no wind to talk about. The sun is out in full force, and Matt Lehman, the almost best name in sim racing, the Canadian driver in the 67 McLaren, is leading Flamger by 1.3 seconds. Sean Madison in that Honda might be the wild card, though, sitting back in third, catching Flamger and Lehman slightly.
Yeah, I believe the Honda in the latest update got quite a nice bop, if I'm not wrong. So the Honda after the 1.8 update wasn't as great as it used to be, and then I think a bop or something came in place, and by the looks of it, it's got good again, Jesse. So it's nice to see a car that only one person has chosen for a championship do really well. Unlike the poor Lamborghinis that are always struggling apparently after the 1.8 patch. Don't really see many of them in many championships nowadays, which is not great, but people will choose the better car. Obviously you want to win, and that Lamborghini, that was nosedive in there, Jesse.
Well, I tell you what, I just watched 30 some cars come through the first chicane here at Zolder. and not a single one of them took it the same as anyone else. As Thomas Pierce, who is fighting for a high up position in that Lexus, is spun around in the hairpin now.
See, anything can happen.
That looked like
This
contact to me. Let's see if it
oh,
was.
Mawson.
No.
Oh,
No.
I what the stewards will say about that. Obviously, there was the
What
first
on
contact.
earth?
There's first contact, and then I don't think Mawson's gonna know that he's gonna have a Lexus in front of him. So that's gonna, there's no pit
That
stop.
is very strange.
Yeah, there's no pit stop, so now Mawson's gonna have front end damage, and does he pit or, I know Mawson's gonna run a few laps to see how it feels at, if he's still got the front end grip. I think he will. Oh dear, and there goes Foch.
Oh no, Samir Foch, your championship challenger in pro, didn't have a great qualifying, was fighting for a spot inside the top 15, was 14th, saved the car, but has lost 4 spots in the process.
This is what I'm saying, Jesse. You need to play it safe and not try and get those fast laps, and you don't yeet the curbs too much. That's it, and Foch hit the curb wrong and we're in back. Apparently we hear Billin lost it. That's why he's all the way down in 33rd, so 34th, sorry. I see in chat, Jesse, Martin Lawrence is already blaming me. Apparently it's my fault.
Well, I'm gonna back up Ted on this one. I don't think he told the drivers behind Martin Lawrence to rear end him, so I don't think this is actually Ted's fault.
That hurts. He knows I want the V12 in here.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a shame. It's like in Harry Potter where they sacrifice that unicorn. It's like that's not the point of a unicorn. Stop doing that.
Yeah, anyway, so we see all the cars jump under the curb. So where did Lehman's qualify? Did they qualify at the front, Jesse? I can't remember. Who qualified? Where? Apparently it's Flamger, Madison, and Lehman, so they've switched around.
No,
But,
this is this is how they've been.
Is this how it's?
Yeah, Flamger lost out to Lehman on the start, and
Right,
Madison
okay.
had been catching up. Now Flamger has lost a additional 0.7 of a second. Madison has not closed that gap to Flamger, so that's stabilized between second and third. Lehman has pulled out and has the Speed Juice fastest lap of the race award at this time. Well, keep in mind, folks, for those of you playing at home, only the top 15 in each class get points, and there are more than 15 cars in some of these classes, I think. So be aware of that as we continue through the race. 15th place gets 1 point. You finish 16th, you get you get a goose egg. It doesn't help you in the points, though.
I can tell you there's 13 in Pro, 15 in Silver, and 19 in the AM. Obviously the AM is mixed now from low Silver and AM class into one class category. There's a lot more drivers there, so a few drivers today will be going without points, and this is Philmotter who is fighting for third
Rudy
in the Silver
Philmotter.
Championship. Yeah,
That's huge off there.
That's gonna be big for Grim Lilith, which is right behind Philmotter now. Here we go, fight for third in the Silver Championship. So, and there's a touch behind with
Ashley Coupland.
And
That
Phil
3 wide.
Large.
That was so dangerous there.
Squeezed onto the grass. Yeah, it was grass and contact. Yeah, that's too much squeezing there, Phil. You want to calm down on that one, else you're going to cause a massive problem. You don't want to see, as much as it is entertaining to see a crash, it's not great for the driver or anyone, whoever's involved.
You know what, Ted? I like alliteration, and I like the team name of Ashley Coupland's car, the Positive Perception Racing McLaren. I like that. I like the way that rolls off the tongue. Unfortunately, though, they won't like how they ended up in the sand into turn 1. Jordan Watson here now fighting Madison for third place, and by fighting, I mean taking that position. That's important to both Madison, Flamker, and Watson because Watson's in the top three overall now in the LFT Ferrari. That puts a wedge between Flamker and Madison for the time being. As I don't know if Lehman is stepping on the loud pedal or if Flamker's having issues with the setup here in the second sort of phase of the race after the start here, because now they've lost another 0.8 of a second in a lap and a half. And maybe Jordan Watson in the 147 Ferrari, maybe they're the ones on the march. Could they potentially make up 3.5, 4 seconds and take this lead?
Yeah. I'm looking at Watson's points and see it on 45 for a minute, 7th in the standings. You know, first is 30 points, I think, or something like that. So that's going to shoot him right up top there. You know, probably fighting for 4th or 5th in the standings for the final round. So it's all happening today, Jesse, with these, you know, these points. Everyone just wants these points. You need as much points as you can for the final, because the final is going to be the one where you win it or you lose it.
Not only that, we're heading back to the UK for Donington Park next week. That's certainly going to be a track that favors certain cars over others. Talk about a track that you can actually get some passing done. A lot of drivers complain, oh, it's hard to pass at Donington. I don't know why, but I've never had that issue, and I've never felt like it is that difficult to pass at Donington. I think if you're driving a car that isn't particularly good in a straight line, I think maybe that's a problem. But as far as getting down into corners, you're afforded a lot of opportunity to outbrake somebody and get a pass done. But rather, besides, it's a fantastic way to end the championship back in Old Blighty. Can't wait to get back for that. But before we do, we've still got 3/4 of a race here to finish in Belgium.
I see Grim Lilith trying to stay with Fillmore, but he's not really gaining. I think he's losing slowly. Obviously that could just be, you know, Fillmore is probably better in the M4 around here, obviously front engine compared to the rear engine Porsche, but yeah, they're fighting in points. You know, every point between these two really counts today. So Grim, I bet Grim, even though he's on controller, he's sweaty.
Just trying to make sense of the points championship in my head. Foch will have a lot of work to do today to even make this respectable at this point, because Checky's up to P9. Foch he was up to 14th, but had that slip and has now he went down to 18th. He's gained 1 spot. The Code Brown Racing name certainly comes in handy on that BMW today, as Bill Large is the next car he has to pass. And none of these, the next 3, Anton Bowers or Large, these don't pay him any points to make these passes, but he's got to do it, and sooner rather than later. There's no the random pit requirement of Night Owl will not work into his favor today, simply because there is no pit stop. So those tires that they slid on, hopefully they're not flat spotted, hopefully they're not grained, and stuff like that is not helping driving off the racetrack and losing all forward momentum in the 88. But all the pressure on Samir Foch to get this done and get somewhere respectable, even if he can't, oh my goodness, even if he can't catch the Checky, which I don't think he will, he needs to get somewhere near inside the top 10 to just have a shot, as Tyler Jason LaValle, the 911 EBM, well, 911, is trying to get by Alex Rogers in the 119, but almost ran out of real estate into turn 1 that time.
We have some penalties to dish out here, Jesse, that stewards have slipped under our door. We have on lap 1, turn 9, involving the 62 and 187. Warning for car 187. 187 brakes too late, causing avoidable contact. We have an incident between the 183 and 171. Lap 2, drive through for car 183, takes out the 171 position not to return. Lap 7, turn 11, involving the 995 and the 44, racing incident. Lap 7, the 113, 101. No further action. 131 hits 101 and spins himself out. And
Keep in
we
mind
hit.
that none of those are specifically for the first chicane incident here, and that none of those are from the initial start as well. Those are all extra ones that came after that because turn what is it technically? Oh, yeah,
That was the DT there, Jesse. So yeah, just ran away, which is surprising by them. I would have thought they would have known by now. You know, at least try and stop. The stewards will see that you've stopped. You know, Martin Lawrence won't be able to get back on track with all the traffic. You know, if you slow down, lose a load of positions, and then carry on because you see they can't get going, stewards will see that, take it into account, and say they tried, but it couldn't. They couldn't give the position back, so maybe the penalty will be reduced. But they just decided to put their foot to the floor and leave the poor V12 stuck in the gravel.
Savalainen trying to go around the long way. You can make a pass on the inside if you can hang it around there, and that's exactly what he's done. As Sean Madison's number 60 Honda is going the wrong direction. Looked like they could have been the class of the field early in this race, but I wonder if maybe they've grained their tires or done some damage. Maybe their car not set up for a longer run because they're falling through the field. Savalainen able to make the pass, and now Alex Rogers and LaValle right behind him.
Yeah, Rogers. There's 5th, but he's 6th. He's just got past the 911. Yeah, so Rogers is doing really well. Someone that doesn't like Zolder.
Well, according to his team name, he just doesn't like you, Ed.
Well, he better like me. He's got me for 24 hours. So.
Well, I mean, I hang out with people I don't like, so.
Wow. Lehman is. Anyway, it's not like him. Ugh. Lehman, he's pulling away from Flunga.
Yeah, I mean, he has been doing. Oh, okay. I detected the problem on the Honda.
Yeah. Tires already overheating, or
I definitely think he's done something to the rear of that car.
I think his rear's warm, Jesse.
He's definitely. I don't know. No, sliding into your DMs. That looked very cinematic. That was not good for the tires.
What's this? 9-hour Tokyo drift. That
Was there help here maybe by the Lexus behind?
Oh, yes.
And there sure was. But look at, is that Phil Malter? That is really Phil Malter. With the drift, I should have known the South African flag on the roof, but still. What a save. Is drifting big in South Africa, I wonder?
Yeah, well, with a hand from a Lexus maybe, but yeah, that was an amazing save. I think the curb helped there just to keep the car going straight, because obviously if you have a curb in the middle of your car, in the middle of your wheels, it does help you. Oh dear, Fosh. Oh dear. He's not having a good race today, Jesse. Sliding and bumping. That's not great. I wonder if they waited. I don't think they did. You can already know Fosh is not happy with this race. I don't even need to go over and have a look, but I already can tell Fosh is not happy, so he won't be waiting around.
Well, Peter has joined us in chat. He was second place in the AM Championship, and he's going to be out of the race. That's the number 50 BMW. And Peter, by the way, Steven's the one that cursed you. He said you were going to do well, and then that happened. So it wasn't us in the booth. It was a fella in the chat. I'm sure you know Steven very well. Could take that up with him. It wasn't Ted's fault on this occasion, which is new for me. Grim Lilith trying to make a pass on Phil Malter, who had that mega slide. Thomas Pierce now in 23rd spot.
Grim gonna let him. There you go. No, Grim holds his position. Now, Grim has seen Phil Malter. Oh, there's a drive-through for Phil Malter. That's track limits, and Grim's flashing the light saying, Get out my way. You have a
He's not.
drive-through.
Yeah, but he ain't gonna.
You are.
Oh, he's gonna.
What?
Oh, he's gonna
What
get
is
an
that?
immediate one again.
It's.
That was an immediate 1x again for Rudy Philmalter.
Now, if you
Oh
cut a corner
no,
too fast, you can get stop and go 10. I've seen that.
sure
So,
can.
yeah, I wouldn't advise that. As much as you could be really angry, and now Grim's got to be careful because Wilmot's just going to go straight here, so I could put him off. Right, what it is.
Well,
That's
for
what I was
Grim
gonna.
Lilith, it's just about as perfect as it could be. Fighting Philmalter for third in the Silver Championship. They were nose to tail for a lot of the opening part of this race. Philmalter with the drive-through for track limits, and that is going to free up Lilith. Ted, what does Grim do now? Does Grim get involved with some of the other cars in front of him and behind him, or does he just sort of like chill out a little bit? He must know now, after coming in tied, he's going to be third. So what does he do? Does he continue to press on, or does he relax a little bit?
He doesn't need to relax too much, but he needs to just play it safe with like the chicane and that you know, the curbs and stuff, and not get any track limits. Yeah, he, as you say, he's third. He can go and chase after Curtin, the 111. He's 9 seconds behind. It's going to be difficult if Grim's not on pace. Haven't looked at the lap times, but Grim just needs to literally just needs to play it safe now and just try and relax a little. You know, if he has an AM behind that's faster or a pro that's faster, making their way through the back of the field after a crash or whatnot, just let them pass. Because you're not fighting for overall, you're fighting for class.
I've got really good news for Grim and really horrible news for Rudy. Rudy sped in pit lane while serving his drive-through for track limits, and the 46 has retired from this race because of it.
Yeah, I'd probably do this. Oh, Flamgo getting. I think he's trying to reenact that picture, Jesse.
I wouldn't try to do that in a live race, going around the outside, the hard way to get it done. You can do it, but that was almost certainly a track cut for Jordan Watson there. That was a little too sharp. Oh, my girl! Raphael Hill going big style over the curb. Is going to lose a couple of spots here because of it. At least one.
That's gave Anton a position to catch it with Mawson. So there's going to be a fight there. And poor Mawson, as we said before, he's not feeling very well. Turned down his force feedback for this race. And now he's got someone right behind him fighting for a place in silver. So
also got mega damage as well.
Oh, here's Foch again. Turns in on the Porsche. I believe that was Foch's fault.
I will say, I think Samir is feeling the stress of the situation, and I feel that there are some cracks forming there from Samir Foch, and it's just, you know, we've all been there when the desperation hits. What are you willing to do? Foch is trying to manhandle the race car and make some very forceful moves, and he kind of has to, but the stewards aren't going to appreciate driving like that, certainly, but the desperation setting in for the 88.
Yeah, you got to feel for guys like that when you need them points. You're so far back from the person you're fighting with in the standings, and you're just pushing so hard, and you make silly mistakes. Yeah, you're gonna get some license points for that, and get 12 license points in the whole championship, and you get disqualified from the champ. 6 in a race, and you get DQ'd from the race. So,
well, we do have some more stewarding reports, and these are the lap 1, turn 5, i.e. the first chicane penalties. They are as follows: a warning for car 271 for attempting an overtake with contact position not gained, a 15-second penalty for car number 5 for taking out the 46, position was not gained, drive-through penalty car 17 for taking out the 5 by braking late, pushing the 183 into the 5, accident deemed the fault of the 5, drive-through penalty for car 6. Car 6 takes out car 28 and pushes them into the 171, causing further avoidable contact. A 5-second penalty for car 187. for braking late on lap 1 of the first chicane, causing avoidable contact with the 777 and the 33. 15-second penalty for car 7 for taking out the 50, position given back. Warning for car 187 for dangerous driving. That was upgraded to a 5-second penalty on the account of it being the second warning received. Warning for car 7 for dangerous driving. That also upgraded to a 5-second penalty in the event of a second warning. That was all into the first chicane on lap 1.
Jesse, as you was reading them out, Flounder went off track at turn 2, I think? Turn 3? I think it's turn 3. And is now in 6th. That's Devline's in second and Rogers in third. So the Honda the 60 and the 19
Where did
McLaren
Salvo
is,
come from?
I don't know, it's Salvo-Leinen, you know. When I say he's gonna get up there, he doesn't. When I don't mention him, he's in second place. I give up, Jesse, with him.
It's absolutely incredible. Savalainen drove from right around 5th place. He was very patient the first 10 minutes of the race. He gained 1 spot, then of course gained another one on the Honda when Madison continues to free fall through the top 10. And now, all of that considered, up into P2, and an excellent drive indeed for Jonas Savalainen. And Thomas Pierce in sort of a recovery here today. P20. See what happened to Jordan Watson here.
Oh, nice save by what happened to Watson then? Did he just end up in a wall? That's
I think he might have just saved it before he got to the wall, but he was definitely in the sand.
That is Aaron Trousers' moment.
It really is. Jordan Watson,
he kept it off the wall there.
Sure did. Jordan Watson now P5. He's still the leading silver car. Now has less cars in between him and Silva. It is still Watson, Silva, and Mawson, the top 3 in silver. Marquez still leading in the AM class in the 49 McLaren over Walker and Roberts. Roberts in 3rd place has a 10-second penalty, but it's not the worst thing in the world. I thought there was going to be contact there as Coupland has a 15-second penalty right behind him. That for 3rd place. Look at this, that double back move. Jordan Watson is not having it, not letting Flamger have that position.
This is a big fight here. Watson's just making that Ferrari really wide, so yeah, see if Flamger can pass. As that was not an on-track move there, Jesse. I believe there was some gravel involved there. Just braking late. Oh dear. Oh dear. Oh, I see. Tried to avoid the car in the front and then ended up in front of Billen really slowly. But well, they didn't make contact. So
all the penalties for the lap 1 incident have been attended to, and moving on, starting from lap 9, a 5-second penalty for car 33 for an overtake with excessive contact, forcing the 5 off track. A 5-second penalty for car 33 for forcing the 5 off track. I'm told those are 2 different accidents on 2 different laps. So 10 seconds worth of penalties for the 33. A warning for car 5 for an unsafe rejoin. Racing incident between the 50 and the 271. Racing incident between the 97 and the 7. Warning for car 7 for avoidable contact. Second warning increased to a 5-second penalty. A drive-through for car 88 for taking out the 14 position not returned. A racing incident between the 88 and the 17 for minor contact.
Not going Fosh's way today, and yeah, he's gonna pull that garage door down any second now, Jesse. I can see it. There we go. Yeah, I sort of knew that was coming from Fosh. This race has been a nightmare for him, and I don't blame him for pulling the garage door down. You know, I'd probably do the same, be very frustrated, and I think it's the best thing for him. You know, he's had a drive-through, he's got a racing incident. He's going to get license points for the drive-through penalty. and there's no point driving around if you're frustrated because you might end up in some more, and then you get disqualified from the race, and worse, qualified from the championship, which you've got one round left. You don't really want to do.
I was reading a comment from Steven in chat talking about Damian Lowe being slow on some tracks, but other tracks just being completely rapid. That is how racing drivers are. There are, I'd say it's not the exception; it is just a rule. There's some tracks that fit a driver's style, and there's some that don't. And some weekends you can show up to the track, you're Superman. Sometimes you're Aquaman. It just depends on what track you're at, and also what car you're in can play a big part in that as well. But championship like this, you're not changing cars so much. Going to Donington next week, I talked a little bit about Donington earlier. Some drivers struggle at that racetrack for some reason. They just can't get speed. I'm talking about high profile esports drivers that look absolutely human and pedestrian at that track, but they can go to Brands Hatch and they're fine. And it never ceases to amaze me. It crosses over into the real world as well. You can see that in all forms of motorsport, and is definitely not uncommon. But Lowe doing the best that they can. Saw a car go off in the background. We've had no shortage of cars going off today, Ted.
Yeah, that was the back marker of the 28. It was. Oh, that could have been worse. That could have been a lot worse with the pilot. That's hold on to your seat moment. Oh, that's, yeah. You get very bumpy there as well, Jesse. That's you could easily spin out by going too slow and then overcorrecting, and that's definitely not something I would want to do.
Well, what's happened to Sean Madison here?
It's the Lamborghini again.
It's the same thing in another chicane.
What Lamborghini is that? Because that's not great.
Lazuli struggling around the racetrack. I don't really know if that's Lazuli's problem or not problem, mistake or fault. I really don't. There's just no real place to go, and overtaking a back marker anywhere is dangerous around here.
Yeah, that's the thing. Wrong place, wrong time is most of the time on here at this track. So yeah, I do see one thing. Fillmore is back in the race down in 33rd. Is a lap behind 32nd and 28. So still driving, gonna finish the race. Fair enough. I respect that. Finishing a race is always a big thing. You had to drive through and then you spend in pit lane, which is a stop and go 30. Yeah, it's always good to finish a race. Even if it's an hour race, 20-minute race, just try and finish the race. Unless you've got really bad damage, I'd probably say no.
Well, if I got 2 drive-through penalties or I served a drive-through and got a stop and go, I'd probably quit myself, to be completely honest, because there's no coming back from that. And that'd probably be one of the few reasons. That, and also being severely crashed up might be a reason. And even in an endurance setting, there is a limit. But I gotta say, anybody who does continue to go on after their race has been completely dismantled is a star in my book. Alessio Melis makes it look easy going around turn 2, making that pass on Silva. And I wonder, did Silva make that easy on purpose, knowing that Anton is around Mawson, and of course Silva would have a decent championship lead going into the final round?
Yeah, that's quite a few points there. Second place in Silva. Pretty big. Probably knowing they won't be able to catch up to Watson. Watson's flying in the Ferrari. Yeah, just trying to stay ahead of Anton. 6-7 seconds from Anton. You're trying to keep the pace going, trying not to get in any accidents. Just let the pros through, and yeah, simple. Got 20 minutes left. Basically a little sprint race now.
sure is. A couple more penalties come through. Warning for car 131 for small contact caused by the 131. Unsettling the 46, a racing incident for minor contact between the 147 and the 100, and a drive-through for car 131 for dangerous driving, brake checking, weaving, forcing another driver off track. So a drive-through for car 131.
That's Thomas Piers in the Lexus. I didn't see any of that, Jesse, but stewards did. They got better eyes than that. Oh. Yeah, I think that's allowed, Jesse, as we just found out. Now, why is a question I'd like to ask Piers. Pretty sure, you know, they've been around the community for a long time, know our rules.
I'm gonna put it to you this way. I'm a glass half full kind of guy, and I like to believe the best in everybody. I'm going to say that Pierce's indicator showed that he was still clear or just about clear when he came back all the way over like that. And Regina Savalainen, yeah, it's
happened
dear.
again.
Savalainen, for our money, is the driver that has been penalized the most for track limits that runs in the top 5. No driver in RCI history has had more pass-throughs for track limits. I'm not talking about for steward penalties. I'm talking for ACC assigned penalties. No driver that runs inside the top 5 week in and week out has ever had more than Savalainen. And unfortunately, that streak continues today as Savalainen has received a drive-through penalty, not for causing a collision, not from the stewards at all, but yet again, a drive-through for track limits.
And you know what Stewie said to us? Name a perfect duo. And he's not wrong there.
I hate it for Juna, who is a RCI champion
look at them
in his own right. And it's come undone. I can't tell you.
Still dropping. Oh my God, I didn't know it was going to go that far, Jesse.
Can I just say, I don't think Savalainen has ever had a good RCI race here at Zolder. I really don't. The last time he was here, guess what happened to him?
Did he get a drive-through, Jesse?
You know he did? Yeah. I don't think Juna's ever had, and that's not saying he's not ran good here. He's led laps here. He's qualified on pole here.
He's a fast, good driver. I think he just pushes it himself too far because he's good, but he just does the slight track cut, and then it stings him, and he's just dropped. He just dropped 12 places. That's how close everyone is, which is quite odd for a race like this.
That's pretty good for 45 minutes of racing.
Yeah. But yeah, the drive-through master Savalainen, now what he is known as. So that does put Watson into 3rd overall, and Rogers is 2nd in the Pro now. If Rogers finishes here today, Jesse, it is his best finish. His highest is 3rd, and all the other ones haven't been his best. And he also signed out of one, so this is why he doesn't have many points, which is unfortunate for Rogers, because we know he's a very good driver. You know, he's been up there in most of and I think Silver has just DC. There's some Hogwarts witchcraft going on here, and I don't know why. I'm guessing
there's some stuff.
Connection.
There's some stuff going on, and that's perfectly fine. It's going to continue on as
the thing happened. Did we change your camera?
That's completely fine. But you know, Watson's doing a really good job, and I will say that basically Watson got a refund on his previous time he was passed. He was passed by Savalainen, dropped him down a spot or so, and keep in mind, Watson was running 3rd in earnest a little bit ago as how about a car just drive off into the barrier. Ashley Coupland has just
Oh,
slammed into the wall.
did they? Oh, they had a drive-through apparently, Jesse. So they thought RCI was a place to go.
That would be a, what do they call that in the business? A rage quit.
Yeah. Yeah. Yikes. That's all I'm gonna say to that one.
The only additional stewards report we have for you is the 911 and the 271 racing incident for minor contact, and racing incident between the 60 and the 271 for the very same thing. No actual additional penalties that have been assigned. They're working lap 24 at this time.
Yeah, there's not much happened at the minute. Everyone's sort of calmed down, which they should have calmed down about, I don't know, an hour ago, I would think, Jesse, but it's fine. We're all behaving for now. So yeah. If I think Lehman's got this. They're just keeping that pace going, which is amazing. I don't think Rogers can catch up. But he could prove me wrong. Yeah, then Watson just needs to play it clean. He's got a mega gap to Silver, who's next in Silver class. So yeah, just like I've said all day, Jesse, keep it clean. Don't do silly moves.
Yeah, of course, and Matt Lehman's done exactly that today. Previous best finish was third in the Hungaroring race. That was the third round a couple of weeks ago. They finished fifth in the second round. They signed out of the previous round that we did at Snetterton. They were not here for the season opener, but all that considered, they're still sitting seventh, and they look to gain some spots in some of the drivers that have struggled here today. We got Savalainen, who's had severe issues. Foch has had a lot of issues. Flamker went backwards, but realistically is looking the better of the group. Wouter Billen has struggled here today just a bit as well. So you take all that into consideration. Lehman's looks like they're going to win this race. They have the fastest lap. They could gain mega in the championship. The top five certainly on the cards. Well, the end of the championship could be more, but for Lehman, it'd be a highlight of a season that is already. We ran 4 races. They only competed in 2, and they haven't finished outside the top 5. But that third place at Hungaroring, the only thing better, of course, is second place, but even more, winning the race and looking like they're going to do just that in the 67. Hasn't put a foot wrong all day. Looking good.
Just looking at Flamger, he's gone up 6 to 4 after his little off-roading that didn't go to plan. And he was 6 tenths behind Watson, but now it's 1.5 seconds. So if I was Watson, I would really want to keep that third place overall, even though you're first in class, and it could end up horribly if you end up giving each other a nice big cuddle into a corner. Yeah, I'd definitely be wanting to keep that third overall, because then you can say, look, I am faster than most of these pros today.
Well, the final 11 minutes of the race gone after 5 p.m. in sim time. The track's cooled down ever so slightly. We started with 21 degrees C on the track. It's now 19. We've lost 1 ambient degree of Celsius as well. Continue to pound around. We look forward to Donington Park, the series finale in 1 week's time. That on the 7th of May. It's insane to me to think about this. Tomorrow, of course, Sunday, the very first day of May, and the 7th of May is our next race. It seems to me in my head that it's more than a week away, but of course it isn't. But it's just insane. We're already in May. Where does the time go? After that, of course, we look forward to season 10 of Night Owl confirmed, and all the information about season 10 of Night Owl next week to give to all of you. And as we get to the climax, the conclusion of this season, it's just been all over the place. It's been racing at its best at times, been absolutely brilliant, unpredictable, and we've had so many different stars and stories from this season so far. And just happy we've got one more race. We're about to make a new one with Lehman as well, a new winner in the Pro Series category. And I mean, it just doesn't get any better than this. I say all the time, my favorite racing we do is Night Owl. This is why it's unpredictable. And, well, in the case of Tio Anton, though, has Raphael Hill right behind him, threatening him for 11th. Ted, I know you might be biased since it's your championship, but come on, you got to be a fan of Night Owl racing. The style of racing is different.
I've always liked Night Owl. I started off racing in season 2 in the AM, and then I did a few seasons there, and then moved up with a couple of guys into the pro category for we did a season of mess around, just to see what would happen and if we were at the back, and turns out we weren't that bad. And then we stayed there for a bit, and then our owner Mike Jones needed to take a break away from managing Night Owl, and said, would you like to do it? And I said sure. And then, you know, did a bit more racing. Then Jesse over here said, hey, do you want to come and commentate? And I said, why not? And then, yeah, I just love Night Owl, Jesse. And I think another thing with Night Owl, which got me hooked, was the random pit requirements.
Yeah, we've done a lot of weird and wacky things. We had an exclusive night season. We had a season where it rained the entire time. We've had random pit requirements. And we've had it where the track list doesn't reveal itself until the week of the race, that sort of thing in the past. That Night Owl is just a random series. It wasn't ever meant to cater to any particular type of sim racer. It was just, do you want to have a little bit of fun late on a Saturday night and have a giggle about it? And that was kind of the point. Our broadcasts are always a little bit more relaxed, we'll say, on a Saturday night as well. And it's just meant to be a bunch of fun, and it always is. I've been here for every single one of them. I want to get pedantic about it. It's technically Night Owl Season 9.5, as their Night Owl did exist before RCI existed, but only for half a season. Rather unfortunately, didn't get to continue that, but you mentioned Mike Jones. One of the first conversations with RCI that me and Mike had was, well, we're gonna do Night Owl still, because it was a neat idea. It was a fun idea. It continues to evolve. And I mean, you get situations like this where you have 30 plus cars on the racetrack every single weekend. And it is basically the battle royale of racing. And that's unfortunate that sometimes that's more of a on the nose statement than I mean it to be. But there's just always something happening in this series. You're never wanting for action. You're never wanting for drama. Tonight's no different. And speaking of drama, the 131 is not done with the drama for the night. They have received a drive-through penalty again, only this time it's for track limits.
Yeah. Just reading a comment from Steb, moderating chat. Random pit requirements is the Night Owl signature. That is true. Same with the last round of the season is the first round of the next season. And everybody knows that ahead of time. The final's always the 90 minutes, but the start of the next season is just a 60. So you always know what the first round's going to be. It's different from the other channel.
Ashley Coupland has joined us in chat. Hello, Ashley, by the way, confirming that they had massive damage that just made that car unbearable to drive, and that's when they decided to park their car. And well, we talked a little bit about that earlier, about having massive damage can sway, especially in a race with no pit stop, can sway your opinion on whether it's good or even smart to continue on. It's unfortunate that car had to retire. Certainly, every race this season we've seen significant retirements mid-race due to one thing or another, usually damage. I am told also, by the way, Ted, that the stewards are 100% caught up with penalties in the race, and they also confirmed to us that the first start before the restart will be reviewed after the race. So I get to say my least favorite thing. This race's results pending post-race penalties.
Yeah, we don't really have that very often, Jesse. You know, we've obviously been working hard, which is nice to see, and they always work hard over here, don't they, Jesse? RCI, and they're, I would say, probably the best stewards out there. I've never had a problem with their stewarding decisions. You know, I may, ooh, that's a bit wide for Silver Lining. I may have a look at a decision they put against me, but you know, I've learnt now just to leave it and come back to it, look at it, and go, yeah, I deserve that. I deserve that drive through for, I don't know, taking out Alex Rogers because he blames me for everything.
I've certainly, you know, in the interest of full transparency, I've had some questions for the stewards, never necessarily against their decisions, but more needing further clarification, which they've always been happy to provide. And I've never left a talk with a steward here at RCI that I did not feel was a positive interaction. And honestly, I don't think I can say that anywhere else. But they have a rule book. They follow that rule book, and that's the way it is. And it's unfortunate. I know sometimes you see yourself on the receiving end of that, and a lot of times, like you say, Ted, too, is you have an opinion about it in the moment. You look at it later when you cool down a little bit, and your opinion dramatically changes based on time passing and also a clearer head. Of course, everybody's human. Everybody makes mistakes. Final 2.5 minutes of the race. Lehman has led the entire way in the 67 McLaren, looking to get that maiden win here in Night Owl and do it in grandstand fashion. Mentioned earlier, they'd finished as high as third in the season so far, looking for win number one. Rogers in second place, Watson third overall, but first in the silver class, Flamger in fourth, who we're with here, the Valley in P5. Marquez, the leader in the AM class. Marquez, Walker, and Roberts, your top three in the AM class right now. Silva and Anton make up second and third in the silver class, but Roberts will not, by the way, talking about AM, Roberts will not get to keep that third place because he has a 10-second penalty and Fox is only 5 seconds behind him.
And he'll drop behind Pimlock because it's a 10-second penalty. So Fox and Bowers will move up position each, and Pimlock will move up an overall position. So these penalties hurt, Jesse. You know, you get a penalty early on in the race, you go, it's just a penalty. You know, there's no pit stop, so you won't serve it. But you know, when you come to the end of the race like this, you go, oh, I have a 10-second penalty. Oh, they're 5 seconds behind me. Oh, the one behind that's only 7 seconds behind me. I've just lost 2 positions.
Oh my goodness. Final couple of minutes here. I am told that the stewards have a bingo card for Night Out. I don't know why it's called that. It's clearly the game of Digby. I thought we were very clear on that. Stewards, by the way, it's called Digby now. But I was told that they have achieved bingo right down the middle.
2 bingos.
Oh my goodness, it is, isn't it? Yeah, they sure have.
2 bingos.
They sure have.
I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, Jesse.
Yeah, it's definitely a bad thing. You don't want to complete that bingo card. That's not what they're aiming for.
No, because most of the things on that is things we've seen in the race and that we don't want to see again. But there will be one more lap for Lehman and the rest of the field. So Rogers is slowly catching, but it won't be enough to get first, so he should just chill and hold second. Watson and Flamger are fighting. Watson trying to make that Ferrari wide as he can. Flamger's struggling, so can't get. I wonder if it's the wake. I wonder if that dirty air of the Ferrari there, Jesse. You know, there's some fast corners here. That wake's gonna disrupt the airflow on the front. Can lift it up a little bit. Makes it unstable. You
Co-
couldn't let it for Martin's fighting.
They sure are. This is the last lap of the race. The 7 coming to collect the checkered flag, but these drivers here will have an entirely new lap that they have to do. This battle will and truly on. A couple things I want to clear up from chat is Peter mentioned be sure to check out my anime livery next week. We showed anime immediately on today's broadcast, so we will catch you next week. Someone else asked if it was a 90-minute finale. You bet your sweet bippy it is. 90-minute finale at Donington Park next week. But for Matt Lehman, it's a victorious run here in Belgium. The Hillmount
Yeah.
car comes across the line and wins it in the
Alex
pro
Rogers.
category.
Gotta say though, Alex Rogers, very well done. Second place, best finish of this season. Yeah, Watson and Flamgo coming across the line. Well deserved to them too. You can look Lavelli. Yeah, Lehman, congratulations on the win. Yeah, that's a lot of points there, and you get the first place points. You got Madison, Marquez, Mellis, Silver, Silver in second in silver. So the Jackie comes across the line, Anton, Savaline, and Huel. Where's Mawson? Where's our weak down boys? Not feeling very well. I think he gets driver of the day, Jesse. Done a hell of a race. 14th. Very well done from him. Mawson, still large. Walker, followed by Curtin. Yep. Walker, Curtin across the line. Walker gets second. Martin's still chasing Lilith. Won't be able to make it. Lilith line 18th. Martin's in 19th. And yeah, so Roberts does come across the line. That's just a little kiss there, Jesse. Yeah, Roberts comes across the line with a 10-second penalty, which will shove them behind Bowles, Fox, and Pimlott. So Pimlott apparently overtook Bowles in that last few minutes for an overall position. Yeah, it's one hell of a race.
Results of the race confirmed Lehman, Rogers, and Flamger in the pro category for your top finishers there, and the rest scrolling across your screen. Big credit to Javier Marquez. We barely mentioned the 49 McLaren all night. We didn't really have to. They were off by themselves. They have put themselves in what I would consider an almost insurmountable lead going into the final race for the AM class. Javier did everything they had to do tonight to secure a victory and potentially secure themselves a championship. I think it'll be mathematically possible for somebody to beat Javier, but I don't think logically it would happen. Watson, of course, won in the silver class as well. Well, we got one more race to go. We'll be at Donington Park next week, the 90-minute finale, as is tradition here for Night Owl. And for a lot of the categories, I'm not sure if we've seen the last of the turns. We saw a lot of lopsided finishes from some of the cars tonight, Foch included. Mawson didn't finish in on the podium. My goodness, it's going to be a mad dash for a
Mm.
championship in the 90-minute finale.
Don't forget, even though it's the last race, you don't have to wait until next season. You can sign up for the next race, which is next weekend. You can sign up for the 90-minute, do your pre-qualifying laps. You will then have a time set on the website, and I will move you across into the correct split, and then you'll be able to race in the 90-minute finale at Donington. So, you want to join, get your pre-Q laps in.
Of course, following the race next week, we will have the brand new Night Owl Season 10, all the details you need to know about the upcoming season of Night Owl. But till then, we have a finale to do and 3 champions to crown in 1 week's time. You know what, though? We're not done with racing as we never are. Like, subscribe, hit the bell for more GT racing action on Monday, the continuation of the Challenge Cup. I'll be on the broadcast for that one. So we'd like to have you with us. And We will return next, what is it, Thursday as well for the BMW Touring Car Championship. On Friday, the brand new Friday GT Championship, and special date on Saturday for pre qualifying for the World Tour, the 24-hour race pre-qualifying this Saturday and Saturday night. It'll be us back with you for the conclusion of Night Owl Season 9. We got a little bit of everything coming up for you this week. Wouldn't want you to miss out. And as always, a big thank you to our partners that make this race and every race possible. RaceDepartment.com, your source of sim racing news and information. AK Informatica for providing our server solutions. Driver 61, you can get 25% off your driver coaching by going to driver61.com and using our discount code. The link is in the description. Driver coaching can make you a better sim racing driver. Fanatec.com. Feel free to use our affiliate link when making purchases of quality sim racing hardware at fanatec.com. Doesn't cost you anything and can help us with things like server costs when you use it. Simracing.gp. Tired of the pub racing scene or just can't get enough sim racing? Join simracing.gp. Join a community. Start racing today. Of course, signing up is completely free. Ted Edwards, final thoughts on what we saw here at Zolder today.
An interesting race.
Certainly
Had it had it
was.
had its ups and downs, but people got across the line in the end there, Jesse.
A restart, a lot of frustrated drivers, and a couple of championships that I feel were absolutely blown apart today. The dust hasn't settled yet. Of course, we are still pending post race penalties for the initial start of the race. We'll have to see. We'll make sense of that in 1 week's time when we're back with you. Until then, thank you for watching. We appreciate all of you for spending a little bit of your Saturday night with us. But until then, we'll see you next time.